Latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to StratNews Global. On a Saturday evening, I'm coming to you live from New Delhi. This week, I was in Ankara, the capital of Turkey, to participate in a think tank visit from the Indian side and had an opportunity to meet a cross section of Turkish think tankers, analysts, industrialists, also some of the technology verticals that the government runs, and the ruling party officials, as well as foreign policy standing committee chairman in the Turkish parliament, apart from the Chamber of Commerce leadership in Ankara. That's the subject of this week's Ask Nitin. So, based on that visit and my impressions of Ankara, not the entire Turkish nation, but just the capital city Ankara and some of its movers and shakers in Ankara, is something that I wanted to share live on the program this week, rather than talk about something that has already been either debated, discussed, or written about. And these are my impressions. If you really look at where we are, where did we go? I went as part of the India Foundation, one of the leading think tanks in India, as part of the delegation that went to Turkey at the invitation of Ankasam, another think tank in Turkey, very influential, very important think tank in Ankara. And those are the hosts who had actually arranged for all the discussions, the engagements. And Mr. M.J. Akbar, a former Minister of State for External Affairs, was the leader. Alok Bansal, who's the director of India Foundation, and me, apart from Ambassador Amar Sinha, were the members of the think tank delegation. Ankasam's Professor Irol, you can see him speaking here, was the host, primary principal host. And we had interaction, if you have to randomly tell you, with the think tank, of course, closed door meeting with the think tank officials, discussed thoroughly the current state of affairs of the relationship between India and Turkey. Then we met the Ankara Chamber of Commerce, the leadership, a very prominent and influential policy advocacy group, as well as association of more than 150,000 or 150,000 companies who work under the uh, Ankara Chamber of Commerce. They were hosting us. We had a long discussion with them. There was also a meeting with the chairman of the Standing Committee of the Parliament on Foreign Affairs in the Turkish Parliament. And we had an opportunity to go to the Parliament. We were hosted for a dinner at the Parliament canteen, if you want to say that, but it's a proper restaurant that they have in the Parliament. Then we also met people, office bearers of the ruling AK party, or the Justice and the ruling party, the AKP as it is called. We had visits to DRDO equivalent technoparks, which are there, which actually incubate different companies, startups. This is the AK party headquarters. This is the photograph of the mausoleum of the founder of Turkish Republic, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. And we were there exactly, I was there 24 hours ago, where the founder has been commemorated. His memory has been commemorated there. And in fact, today, 29th of October, is the 99th Republic Day of the Turkish nation as a modern secular republic. The Democratic Republic of Turkey was founded on 29th October 1923 by Kemal Mustafa Ataturk. Many of you might know his name, his exploits, his charisma, and the leadership that he gave to the Turkish nation, which is a successor of the old Ottoman Empire, the sultanates and the caliphates who used to rule Turkey rather. and these are the people who had ruled Turkey for centuries. And then Mustafa Kemal Ataturk came along, who had fought in the First World War, also was Western educated, very handsome and charismatic man. He founded the Republic of Turkey. So that was the purpose of the visit itself, to try and understand where is the current state of what is the current state of the India-Turkey relationship, and that's where we are going to come in. But before I come to that exactly, for those of you who are not really aware of what Turkey is or where Turkey is, Turkey geographically, if you look at the map, is the country that connects Asia to Europe. In fact, it's the gateway to Europe from Asia. Istanbul is a very famous city, as you know, which is on the Black Sea as well as on the Mediterranean Sea. The Bosphorus, um the passage, is what connects the Black Sea to the Mediterranean Sea. Beautiful city. This time didn't have the time to go to Istanbul, but I've been to Istanbul in the past. As you are aware, Turkey is a member of the NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It wants to be part of the Western global order, but is also seen as a bridge between Asia and Europe. Its population is not very high, 83 million population. Kemal Ataturk, as I mentioned, founded the republic in 1923 and has been a member of the NATO, one of the oldest members from 1952. Uh, it's also majority population is Muslim or follows the Islam religion of Islam, and yet has a sense of modernity, is a mix of modernity and traditions. And India and Turkey have had, unfortunately, very erratic kind of relationship. It's been cold many a times for historic reasons, because Turkey mainly supports Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir. And in retaliation, you may want to call it, India has supported Cyprus's demand for reunification, because Turkey had annexed a part of Cyprus way back in the 70s forcibly, and continues to occupy it. It has tensions with Greece, which is to its southwest. Also, Turkey supports Azerbaijan, whereas India supports Armenia. Uh, and yet there are so many commonalities. One of the joys of discovery for us, at least, or to me as a part of the delegation, was the number of words that we use in common conversations in India. Uh, Hindi, Urdu, Persian words are also common in Turkey. For instance, and now it is calls itself officially Turkey or Turkey. So Turkey, the Turkish language, tea is called chai, like we call it in Hindi here. Izzat, prestige, that's the word. There is dikkat, which is again, dikkat is difficulty. There are so many words that one found there as far as the commonality of words. And I'm told there are 4,000 such words which are commonly used in Turkey as well as used in this Indian subcontinent, in Urdu, in Hindi, in Persian, in Iran. And therefore, there was a connect, the old civilizational connect, the old traditional trade connect between India and Turkey. And yet, from 1947 onwards, when India became independent, became a republic in 1950, Jawaharlal Nehru went to Turkey very early in his prime ministership and was very much impressed with the way Turkey had modernized itself. There is no compulsion of hijab, for instance, for women in Turkey, although increasingly there are now more and more women seen, especially in the rural areas, wearing hijab. The ruling party is also a mix of, as you can see, there are women wearing hijab here. They've come from afar to Ankara, the capital. Ankara was founded a long time ago, nearly 100 years ago. Has a very vibrant mix of tradition and modernity. Also, of course, the seat of power. And like this Techno Park that we went to is equivalent to, in a way, to India's Defense Research and Development Organization. This park or this organization incubates various startups, and then finally becomes a shareholder. Once the startups become commercialized, all those things keep happening there. There are various new innovations and the new technology that is being adopted. And this is the Ankara Tikarat, as they call it, or Tijarat, which is Vyapar, and then this was the other DRDO equivalent lab that we went to. You can see our delegation, four-member delegation, and the Chamber of Commerce officials together. This was our job to do a track two discussion with the various people, various influential organizations there. But if you really look at what's happening to India-Turkey relationship, why is Turkey now wanting to look east, as it were, towards India? And why is India also reciprocating Turkey's overtures, Turkey's hand of friendship? Is because of the changed geopolitical situation. If you look at Turkey's um, geographical location, which I have already mentioned, Turkey has good relations with Russia. It has bought, like India, S-400 air defense system from Russia, despite American threat. In fact, the US has sanctioned Turkey in a way by taking objections to it, and yet Turkey is a member of the NATO, which is a Western alliance. It is like India, trying to play a mediating role in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, while India has been little reluctant and um, in the background to talk about the mediation effort. Turkey has offered its space or its soil for mediation between Ukrainian and Russian leaders. It does not want to get caught into that conflict, which is taking Europe down, and the entire world, in a way, is affected by the economic crisis that has been brought about by the Russia-Ukraine war. So that's one recent commonality. But apart from that, one positive sign of relationship improving between India and Turkey is the bilateral trade. In 2018, it was $8 billion. In 2021, it has come up to $10 billion. One of the more substantial trade relationships between India and any other country. Although the Turkish, like we do with China, that we complain about the huge trade deficit with China, which is of course $100 billion plus bilateral trade between India and China, and India has got a huge trade deficit with China. Similarly, Turkish companies and Turkish economists complain of huge deficit with India, trade deficit with India. So while India exports goods worth almost $6.5 to $7 billion, Turkey exports to India are languishing around $2.5 to $3 billion. So that's one kind of a reservation and one kind of a worry that the Turkish have. But more than that, what is prompting the effort to improve relationship between the two countries, which have not been best of friends over the decades, is this meeting on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Samarkand, where, of course, Prime Minister Modi met Putin and told him this is not the era of the war, but this is where Prime Minister Modi and President Erdogan of Turkey met. And flowing from that meeting, there is a breaking of the ice that happened there. And now there is an attempt to introduce some thaw uh, in the relationship, which has been frozen because of one issue between India and Turkey, and that is Turkey's support to Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir, or the issue of self-determination and UN referendum that Pakistan keeps demanding. Turkey has been consistent in its support to Pakistan, has gone against India on several occasions. There have been belligerent and unacceptable statements by Turkish politicians, including President Erdogan, of late on the issue of Kashmir. In fact, so much so that in 2019, Prime Minister Modi was supposed to go on a bilateral visit to Turkey. It was called off at the last moment because of Turkey's intransigent and aggressive, as well as unacceptable stand on Kashmir. But all that seems to be now being kept aside, and the sense that we got uh, as far as the approach of the Turkish establishment towards India is concerned, is that Turkey is more than keen to extend the hand of friendship to India, and India is also coming down halfway on the road to improved relationship with Turkey. And there are several elements to it. Trade is one. There is the issue of uh, the taking a stand independent of either Russia or of the Western alliance. And Russian stand, which has not been appreciated by many people, is understood in Turkey like in India. India understands that Russia has its own reasons and it cannot be abandoned or cannot be stabbed in the back, and so does Turkey. That's reason number two. Reason number three is Turkey is facing unprecedented economic turmoil, economic hardships, and for a society which is not used to economic hardships for almost 100 years now, uh, does not want to go down the same path as many other nations are going because of the uh, uncertainty brought about by the Russia-Ukraine war and the high inflation as well as higher crude oil prices. And therefore, it wants sustainable, and this is the famous um, Blue Mosque, and this is Istanbul uh, in all its glory, tourist glory. It's a beautiful place, one of the most visited destinations. In fact, one of the key elements of the India-Russia friendship or growing friendship would be tourism. I was told by an Indian working for a Dubai-based travel agency that this year alone, 2.5 lakhs or 250,000 Indians have visited uh, Turkey, not just Istanbul, but Turkey for tourism purposes. And the very fact that both are inbound as well as the outbound flight of the Turkish Airlines on which we traveled was full. Turkey or Istanbul is also a very major transit hub. In fact, the Turkish Airlines or the Istanbul airport claims that it connects more countries than any other destination, which means if you're going to Canada by Turkish Airlines, you land in Istanbul and take the flight to other destinations in Canada. This is the mausoleum of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, where there is a ceremony of the changing of the guard, which I filmed yesterday on Friday. And of course, this is just a very amateur kind of a footage. But the fact is that even at this memorial for the founder of the Turkish Republic, there were young students, school students, they were young and fashionable, young men and women from various parts of Turkey who were visiting this memorial, buying memorabilia. They were buying, and these three statues are the peasant or the farmer, the teacher, and the soldier who form the backbone of the Turkish Republic. And these are the three women who basically constitute the society in Turkey. I mean, one half of the society in Turkey. It's a beautiful place for visiting if you have to pay tribute to the founder of the Turkish Republic. But that apart, the semantics apart, tourism apart, there is a sense of realpolitik in realpolitik in Turkey's establishment that the other countries in the Gulf, Saudi Arabia, UAE, are also moving closer to India. And many of the players in the establishment acknowledged that India is becoming increasingly a global player, is becoming an increasingly important power, and they do not want to be left behind in not having good relations with India. While there will be differences on Kashmir vis-a-vis Pakistan, there will be issues of some of the some of the stands that India takes on terrorism. But as our delegation leader MJ Akbar pointed out to the Turkish leadership and to the interlocutors, the two countries have suffered both ways, in many ways, because of terrorist attacks, which are not acceptable. And there was this other commonality, as I mentioned. This is Ambassador Amar Sinha, this is MJ Akbar, and this is Mr. Alok Bansal, Director of India Foundation, along with the Ankasam chief, Professor Erol, who had organized the thing. There were a couple of ambassadors from the Turkish side, retired ambassadors who were part of the discussion. But it was an education for me going to the capital, Ankara, not Istanbul just as a tourist, but going to Ankara and learning much about Turkey, its stand, its political reality. The Justice Party, or the AKP, has been in power for some time. It is accused of being authoritarian as well as cracking down on the opposition. But all that is not very evident when you go to Ankara. There is somebody thanking me for giving this update. Well, thank you very much for watching. As I can see, many people are watching this broadcast live. There was a comment earlier before we started the program which says Turkey is India's enemy. Now, that is something that we need to correct the perception. In geopolitics, there is no permanent enemy or permanent friend. India and Turkey, as I mentioned, have had their differences, still have their differences, but it doesn't mean that they can't talk to each other. And the purpose of our visit as a track to attempt at understanding each other was exactly this, to try and get a uh, peep or try and get an insight into what's happening in Turkey, the changing mindset in the establishment, how people view it. People have excellent goodwill about India. They know about Indian spices, they know about Indian food. Again, the food is in many ways very common to many of our cuisines in India. Um, then the Turkish people or the defense sector in Turkey is also becoming powerful, strong, and innovative. Their drone, as all of you will be aware, are being used increasingly in the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict. And India, even if a little belatedly, is also now employing more and more drone and counter drone technology. We may have an opportunity to collaborate if Turkey is willing to share the technology, or at least make sure that Indian startups, Indian companies also get the know-how. So we actually discussed many of these. So as somebody has asked, Soumya Srivastav has asked, any update on the drone technology? I just mentioned to you that Turkey is one of the leading countries with drone technology, but India is going one step ahead. India wants counter drone capability, and maybe there is scope for collaboration between the two countries. As we found out from those techno parks, Turkey has been a leader in innovation and in incubating startups and innovators, and they have a very interesting model in doing all this. But more than anything else, I think both the countries recognize that without going into the semantics of non-alignment, alignment, both of them as rising middle powers, they need to get together, work more, understand each other, and maybe play a role, constructive role in resolving some of the major crises that are happening around the world. And therefore, we from our side suggested that there should be more exchanges of students, university students, maybe media delegations from both sides, which go to different places. They spend some time in each other's countries and understand where do we stand in respect to each other, as well as on major global issues, global policy issues, global economy, global climate change, all that. So this was just a very modest beginning from a think tank, not from the government. Governments have to take a very definite stand, a very rigid stand, and have to stick to it. As members of a delegation on a track two dialogue, uh, we had the luxury and we will have the luxury of listening to various points of view. And they had to also listen to some of our views about what we feel, how Turkey stand on Kashmir, supporting Pakistan, and about India's role in Kashmir uh, is something that they have not understood. And a reset is likely in the future. It is not yet reset. In fact, there is one question I just saw. Bibhuti Lal Das has come up with a question. India-Turkey ties not in reset as of now. I agree, Bibhuti. It's just a modest beginning. to understand each other, and we cannot go the full distance immediately. That's not how diplomacy works. That's not how international relations work. But there is an opportunity, there is a scope because of changing and rapidly changing geopolitics, geoeconomics. And therefore, I think both countries are eager to grasp the opportunity and make sure that they don't miss the bus going forward. That's where we are as far as India-Turkey relationship is concerned. I thought since I spent 3, 4 days there and I had some insights which I thought I should share, that's why this program. As usual, we and you can see various cultural and societal kind of insights that one gets. He's an ice cream wala in the Ankara fort or Ankara castle. A very interesting way of making the ice cream. He's a singer there, sitting there, and people appreciating it. There was another boy who was singing full throated in Ankara Castle. Here you can see, and the beat is being played, or the tabla or the drum is being played by one of his friends. It was a beautiful voice, strong, and which of course we didn't understand what it was, but it was a lovely weather, lovely day, and a lovely opportunity to understand a country that is not too far from India, just 6 hours flight from Delhi, but has remained distant in its relationship with India on both political and diplomatic level. That's all I have today. All of you are subscribers to our channel, but do spread the word uh, to your friends, family, acquaintances about our platform. You know where to subscribe, so please tell them where to subscribe and what to do. Just have to click the bell icon there on the YouTube channel. And of course, your feedback and your suggestions are always welcome. I do not have the time to take more questions, but certainly I'll try and answer them if there is an opportunity in the future. But for the time being, it's goodbye.